What is your name and how long have you been in a child care setting?
Hi, my name is Tiffany Mays, and I've been working in the child care setting for approximately 12 years.
Oh, and what is your position now?
Right now, I'm a program manager for the infant toddler program.
Now we're going to move on to child care, and what does it mean to you?
Well, child care means a lot of things to me. For starters, the word child care is evolving. Before, when you thought of child care, it was taking care of children, wiping their runny noses, taking care of them and babysitting for them while their parents were at work or school or running errands. But now child care is starting to evolve into more of a learning component. Current research has determined that from birth to 3 is a very crucial age, that children's brain development is just developing at a rapid pace. And so it's important for those that are in early child care to make sure that they're facilitating that with different activities, also giving them opportunities for play, but nurturing them, making them feel safe and secure so you can build upon more academic principles that they'll see when they get older.
Very good. If a prospective parent were looking at child care facilities, what type of essential qualities are important to look for?
Absolutely safety. If that person that's coming to visit a child care center can walk through the doors and no one realized that they are a visitor on site, I would turn around and walk the other way. Safety is very big. Unfortunately, we're, of course, live in a world where people don't value children and think that they are precious beings. So there are people that have ulterior and sometimes evil motives. So when a parent or families are coming into a child care center, they should look for safety. If someone greets them at the door, answer their questions, that's always a good sign that people are aware when visitors or customers come in and they can answer their questions effectively. The second point that they need to look for is ratios. If you've got one teacher in a classroom with a million kids, not so good. You want to make sure that the ratios are where that teacher can give adequate amount of care and attention to each child. Those two things are very important. And then there's some aesthetic things. Sometimes just being smelling good is a sign that it's clean and that it's a healthy place to be. Also, just a genuine smile can go a long way. I would never overrate that. If your teacher or caregivers feel overworked or stressed, they're not going to be able to give smiles. Smiles are very important because that just means that it's a comfortable and nurturing environment.
Thank you very much. What do you believe is the difference between child care and child learning?
Oh, okay. I think I jumped the gun. Well, child care is one of the components inside of child learning. Once a child, and I'm sure, I can't remember the theorist, but there was a theorist that believed that once a child basic needs were met and they felt safe and secure, you can build up on, I guess, a self-actualization. And I believe that the difference, or in conjunction with child learning, is that a child has to feel cared for and safe. And then once they feel that, you can build upon with learning principles. And learning can be anything from explaining just what they see, the world around them. Never think a question is something that you can put off. For a child, if they ask it, even if they ask why a million times, it's a reason why they want to know it, and just have an answer for a child. And even if you're not quite sure on the answer, research the answer with a child. That's learning. And you can do it as young as infancy. With an infant, you can show objects to them, you can explain what they are, and talk to them constantly. And I think that's a difference, or in conjunction with child care and child learning.
Going off of the child learning, what do you think are different methods of teaching?
Okay, I'm sorry to learn again. Different methods of teaching. I would definitely say one method could be just reinforcing different techniques to children. Just reinforce it. Just repetition is key. Another way is just have that child to explore themselves, and you be that observer, just looking, just observe them as they explore. And then if they look for you for questions or answers to different things that or challenges they may have, you can answer questions. So maybe repetitive teaching, be on the side observing, and maybe that third component is just have cause and effect material for children. So have something that child has to actually do to make it change or to make it move. And then that way, if you have cause and effect, that material can help them know that they have control over situations and they can make learning more fun and more controlled for them.
Now we're going to move on to children with disabilities and different facilities of childcare. What do you think is best to handle a child with disabilities?
Disabilities are children with challenges. Is a better way to say it. I think just inclusive care is so important. You just place that child with other children that are mobile or not mobile or emerging into skills or having some challenges with certain skills. Just put them all together, let them model, let them learn from example. It'll make the child that is, I guess, that typical child can also learn things from that atypical child by learning to be sensitive, by learning to be caring and more compassionate and empathize a little bit. And then also that atypical child or the child with challenges can look at the other child that's moving and mobile and feel a part, like inclusion, feel a part of the environment. And not only do they feel a part, but they can model and see those I can do this too type of moments and experiences in the classroom.
Ms. Tiffany, you said you work at the University of Houston Child Care Center. Do you guys have inclusive child care here with disabilities?
We have teachers.
Okay.
We have teachers that are trained in inclusive care, and then if there is a child that has different challenges, we do not reject. We assess that child, assess the parents, and we meet the needs of the family and the child. If we have activities, there was one child in particular who had a cleft arm, and I never looked at the cleft arm as a disability. She was enrolled in our classroom. None of the children, of course, didn't notice that her arm was different. But when it was time to learn for cutting, I had to just kind of tweak the scissors where they worked, where she felt that she could accomplish something. When it was time to paint at the board, she figured out a way to hold the paint as well as the paintbrush. So I just would give material to her, but make sure that they were not overwhelming and my expectations were at, I thought, her developmental level. And then I would scaffold back. I just kept stepping back until she was able to grasp that concept herself. A little small example was a small challenge for me with her is when she learned to toilet learn because she had a cleft arm and I wanted to scaffold back so she could do toilet learning herself. So she maneuvered to pull her own pants up with one hand, to sit on the potty. She fell a couple of times, but again, she felt determined and knew I was there to help her if there was a time that she couldn't get up. And then eventually she learned to wash her cleft hand by somehow she maneuvered to wash them both. And then the other thing, she was very clever that she never waited until it was the last minute to go to the restroom. She anticipated beforehand because she knew it took her a little extra time to go to the potty. So again, just having that environment where you're supporting and open to inclusive children or to children with disabilities to make their learning experience a lot more comfortable.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tiffany. Do you have anything else to add regarding child care?
I think I said a lot.
You met it all.
I think I did, but I always try to lead students that are studying this field is that you yourselves are unique because a lot of times we don't see the impact that we put into children's life because it's not like an instant thing. Like if you teach your child to write, you never know if that child's going to be a writer or not because you won't follow them the rest of their life. But it's important just to believe whatever you're doing, if you see the results or not, that you're making a difference. And then that kind of changes the way you interact with children because you know this interaction is going to affect the interaction that they have for the rest